No way.
Short.
Short!
No! Get out!
Oh my God.
Go. Shoot.
No!
Oh, I ran out.
No!
I can't even.
Ah!
Woo! Damn.
That felt good.
Bro, you've been looking at me this whole game like you got something to say,
Because
bro.
he's been so
You got
quiet.
some shit on your chest or
I do got a
something?
lot of shit on my chest.
You do?
Yeah, but you're always so busy.
Let's go then, bro. Let's go to the podcast room. Let's figure this shit out.
That was fun. That was fun. It's hard for you not to like work if you do that there. Sick as fuck. So the Lions are gonna do tomorrow. I don't care if it's by 1 or by 100. That's what happened. We gotta fix that headset for him. Some client
You
told
really
me
got
today.
some shit on your chest, man?
Of course I do.
I've been trying to get deep in your mind for a long time. Let's figure this shit out, bro.
Let's go. Be careful.
What's up, my brother?
What's up, brother?
It's been a long time coming, though. We've been talking about getting in this room for a long time. We're finally here. Damon Marcus, Nick Gegovic. Any other nicknames you go by?
Nick Gay Guy.
Nick Gay Guy?
Phil Jackson, Uncle Phil.
Phil Jackson, Uncle Phil? I love it, man. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to your studio. This is your studio.
Thank you. It's a beautiful place to be.
I know we've been trying to meet for a while and talk. Get into your brain, man. You've been in a lot of places in your life, and we're working together now. You're running all of operations for Taker's Brokerage. You wear many hats here, which we appreciate you for. I've been trying to get you here because I want to go deep into your mind in the sense of there's days where you're on and you're live and you're on fire, and there's other days where other stuff gets in between. So I kind of wanted to talk about that, get into the mindset of Damon. How could we unprogram? I've been talking about unprogramming for a while with my wife, about unprogramming myself, which is important. Also, you have an interesting background. You were a rapper.
Still am.
You were on Oprah.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. So I want to talk about all that, man. But so welcome. So where should we start? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you've been, and what brings you here, and then we're gonna get straight into it.
Yeah, I promise. Well, because you said where should we start, and then that part, I won't like to say kind of answer one of your questions, because if I just try to give background on me, God knows what I'm gonna say and where we're gonna be. But you said something the first time we talked about doing this a couple days ago. Talked about yourself.
Yeah.
And there's that book, and there was another one by the same author. And then I never forget, like Chad Weinbaum, right? He was a executive vice president, and like he said certain things, but they were mostly quirky until during one of his meetings he said something about a book. And I don't know why, just maybe the language in the title, and he was a VP or whatever.
Yeah.
But the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think you had a lot to do with my growth in the last few years. When you're you talk about some days I'm, as Drake and DJ Khaled would say, on one.
Yeah.
Bailey actually asked me one day, what are you on?
Yeah.
One time I asked the doctor that I wanted to get medication from, what do I do for energy? Because he didn't want to give it to me. He said, breathe, drink water. I was like, all right, bud. But going through those layers, and then you said something else and you were talking about with your wife about unprogramming.
Yeah.
Somebody that, I'm an old man. I won't talk about age and numbers because who cares? But like for a long time, just like I've quit more jobs than most people have had, I have been to more therapists than anybody should ever go to.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time, and maybe kind of answers the other question about why I'm not some days off. But like every time, if you see a therapist and they take what you're telling them and they give you their rendition of it and it helps you, great. But they're putting a shirt on you didn't know that you're wearing, and you didn't know that, figuratively speaking. So like sometimes
I don't buy it.
Oh, I understand.
I don't buy therapists. I feel like therapists.
I don't either. But I'm the kind of guy that goes through a lot of research and development to make sure I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Inadvertently.
Yeah.
But you look for help and people send you there.
Yeah, I mean, I think life coach is better than a therapist, because a therapist, they'll ask you a bunch of questions and let you spill all this shit out to them, but not give you any guidance, and just allow to keep asking you questions where you're going deeper and deeper into an issue that might not even be an issue. Or if it is an issue, then you need to resolve the issue.
Yeah, there's a reason it's an issue.
Yeah, but for somebody to just put a bunch of shit out there and then, okay, our session is now over. We'll see you next week. Let's talk about more shit.
Yeah.
And it's just talking with no resolutions.
Yeah. It's at least confusing to me, just like an overweight, heavy gentleman that's a top salesman at a gym. Like, how, bro? Why would I buy a membership from that guy?
Yeah.
When he says that, I'm like, dude, no, you don't. Everybody that has ever said that has changed their mind. Those that haven't always come back the same, but it's like a cockpit of a pilot is what I like to look at in a good way. Sometimes it's other things. My mind also, at times I've referred to it as the section of the floor at Lifetime that's all treadmills, and every treadmill has a Nick on it. Something happens and then this one Nick gets off the treadmill and gives us his opinion, and we don't like his opinion because it's a Debbie Downer or negative Nancy opinion, and we tell him to get his fat ass back on the treadmill. But that all happens in here while other people are trying to talk to me. So sometimes I understand that this says, it's calling it.
Yeah, so that explains your mind.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Well, look, for me, you're an inner circle member. You're the face of the company. I've been wanting to talk to you about this because I feel like there was a day where you were throwing up in the bathroom. You were supposed to be training a couple people. Mm-hmm. You had to leave early. And in my mind, I'm like, I want to talk to you because top level executives and CEOs and presidents and people that are leaders, they have to be on stage regardless of how they feel. You could see sometimes if something's bothering me, sometimes I might not be the best at hiding it. But for the most part, if you look at because I document my life and I have all this content, if I look back on my content, I'd be like, damn, like Ace, that day you were real fucked up. I'm surprised you even made this content like that, like nothing was going on. And
which is where I come in, because some days maybe that content should just stay in the pocket for me.
Yeah. Not only content, but even speaking on stage, going to companies. Like I remember there were sleepless nights where I had to go do consulting for 4 different companies, and I had a night where I didn't sleep. I'm not going to get into the reason why I didn't sleep or what happened, but I literally went no sleep, and I had to motivate 100 people, and they'll go to the next company. And then that was a hard day for me, but I did it, And I think when you could separate the way you feel with what needs to be done, if there could be a separation between the two, it's not I feel this way, so I perform this way, or I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to feel like it today. It's regardless of how I feel, there has to be performance. There needs to be performance done today. I'm on stage today. There's people I'm onboarding today. Like when you come in here, your smile, the way you shake people's hands. And by the way, these last couple of days you've been on fire, so I don't know what kind of Fruit Loops you had, but you've been back on a fire, which I appreciate. But how do we keep that fire going every single day where we don't have to have is Nick on today or Nick off today? Because, and this is real, I think this is like one of probably the biggest differentiating factors in highly successful people is the ability to separate the way they feel with what they do. So what stops you from doing it? I guess, how are you doing it right now? And what stops you from doing it on days that you're not? Let's start with the positive. How are you doing it right now? How are you in this great mood right now? You're lighting people up. You're talking to people. You're executing. You're being the face of the company right now, the face that I like, the face that I want to see. That's the guy you are right now.
You would think he's asking this question. You would think he paid very close attention to the answer. But sometimes, like when I would yell, no matter what, if my volume was loud, my dad thought I was angry, right? So he made assumptions. Someone from the outside is making an assumption, or someone from the inside is making an assumption. Particularly like whether it's here or at home, because some people talk about work-life balance, right? Everything in life connects. The only way to balance is to realize that the way you feel there is going to affect there, and the way you feel there is going to affect there. So the actual balance is realizing that I am me there and there. Making sure whatever Nick wants to get off the treadmill and give me data, I'm still me. I'm not how I might feel based on what you said, what's going on around. Some days, if you understand, I definitely, when your computer slows down because you're running too many programs?
Yeah.
I definitely do that to myself, which I'm not mad at because that's also helped me grow. But like game film for Kobe before Rocket Mortgage and being on Alex's team was one thing. Game film for Kobe as a fan became a whole new world to me. A whole new world. Once I got on his team, because it wasn't the first person at Rocket that checked me in a game film or one-on-one, but it was like he had listened to it or heard about it before our meeting. And so he said, like, it was different about how we connected, right? You said something like, why'd you say this to the client? I said, I didn't fucking say that. And he played the clip and I said it. It's so different when you see it or hear it. And there's no, this is what I said. Or maybe if you get away with, no, I recorded you. This is what you said. No, this is what I meant. Nobody gives a The client heard what you said. You know what I mean?
I don't remember that. Is that a true story?
Yeah, that's it. Like one of the first game films.
I called you on something you said?
Like, no, it was a one-on-one though. So it was just me and you, but it was like, and Sarge had done it to me before, Slaughter.
Yeah.
And like I had other directors, but
What did you say?
I didn't take them as serious.
Yeah.
Right. And I said something to the client, whatever it was. I don't remember that specifically because some of those things fall out. Right.
Yeah.
But whatever I said, you told me, you're like, why would you say this to the client or whatever it was? It wasn't even very confrontational, but I was like, I didn't say that. Because if it was confrontational, I wouldn't answer that way.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you played it. And you're like, we're not going to waste no time because Nick could talk a lot, right?
Yeah.
Play that shit.
Yeah.
And it broadened my horizons, right?
Yeah.
Then I mentioned Chad Weinbaum, but the Yourself and whatever other book by that other author, he suggested to me and made me read because he said if you do that, his brother told my wife, if you get this guy right here, he's a dangerous man. So
yeah, which is true.
There's another book that I read by a lady named Nicole something. It's a therapy book, but it's called Do the Work. What you said about therapists before is they do. And like we're in the service industry. I've had family in the hospital where you realize the nurses forgot they signed up to save lives. Some people just go through the motions. Therapists are no different. And then if it's a therapist that can give medication, they're letting it rip. Yeah, your boy was in middle school popping pills at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the type of kid that didn't think like this, what we joke about my song, I'd have been down this road. What road would I have gone down?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't care that much to analyze it? Because I get that you think too much. I'm thinking, maybe you don't think enough. And I step back and I don't say shit because they worry about what I'm thinking about. So I put it in my pocket for later. But like, you're a huge part of that. Seeing him react to how I reacted the day that he's talking about was huge for me too. And I said some things to him where I was very transparent and straightforward. And the look on his face meant the world to me. Everything in life connects, but the connections you're aware of are even better. But like, to answer the question about what switch in the cockpit, because Alex wants to know what switch in the cockpit keeps Nick in that zone. Because if I need Nick in that zone, I'm going to hit that switch. And if you're a client or a mentee or a team member,
I want you to hear it for yourself more than I want myself to hear it.
He doesn't know how much I talk to myself either. So I've heard it. And the reason that I'm doing better today as opposed to last week, because I said this to my wife today, I said, last week I was in a spot that I was often at Rocket, especially after I lost Ace as my director. And then later on, lost my father. So the last 3 years has been, if I would have went to a therapist, they would have sent me to a string of doctors who eventually would have put me in a straitjacket. But as you grow, you learn. Some people don't like, they ask me a question. I say, well, why you ask that question? Because I need the context. That's why I talk a lot. Because I can give you a better answer. Because if I ask your opinion on something and then I give you the context, I got $5 as your opinion might change. Keeping myself at my speed. Now, for me, in the best version, because I'm going deep. So I hope this doesn't sound stupid. And if it does, or you think it sounds stupid, you better run it back and listen to it again. If you boil it down, if you go through a 30 million lists and you boil it down to your priorities and what you want, you're probably going to get to the point, that the X on the map that says you want joy. And when you stop thinking, I want this because this is going to make me happy. Well, if this was going to make me happy, then the lint on this would make me unhappy, wouldn't it? Sick. So when you boil it down to joy, what makes me happy is genuinely, if I had to pick, if I listed all the people in my life that I love and I said, who from that list could I stand to not make happy? I'm the only one that I could take off that list, right? And their joy brings me joy. And no matter what I think brings me joy, their joy brings me far greater joy. And it's lasting joy that you can't forget. And it's not a receipt and it's not a tangible item. So my dad used to say, can you eat or drink that? If I can't eat or drink it, I don't know nothing about it. Well, that was a joke because he thought a little deeper than I did probably. But like, what brings them joy is me at top speed because I could say yes to everything. And there's 24 hours in a day, but I don't need any of them to sleep if I don't really want them, right? So I can get there, but most of the time, everything I want is on the other side of hard work. Hard work, clean living.
So you did not answer my question.
I did. Me at top speed. My speed.
So you're saying that what brings you joy and puts you in flow is you at top speed so you can make the people that you
because
love
I know
happy.
the results of that are joy.
Okay, so why didn't you know that the week before, the days you've been off, or the days that we get into it? When you come in here and you're not in the mood to with anybody, and you got your mind on other things outside of the building, when I try to tell you leave it outside the door, and you're not in that zone, you're not in the zone where I want you to lead people. So talk about that now. What stops you from being, because if you're saying hard work, you going all the way.
Well, what I said first was my speed. And then I said, if I'm answering you, top speed, because I know I can get everything done and when I run out of juice, there's going to be time to sleep. But top speed, if I had a preference, but if you run at top speed and you let that list get too long, right? Out of that list, this group over here, they need this guy that writes loans. It's like crazy, right? This group over here, they need Bubba that's actually home to see them and play with them. This group over here, my mom needs to know I give a f. She really doesn't need nothing else.
Yeah,
right?
I feel that.
So now you see that he said hats earlier, right? So when I'm in the fitting room normally, for other reasons like safety in public places, but for courtesy, people don't go in the fitting room when other people are in the fitting room. And when you got 37 hats, it's a lot of switching the hats. And then if you put one hat on but thought you put the other hat on, and you're looking at something that's not even either one of those hats, and then somebody walk in and they ask you how it's going, and then the camera come in behind them, and you're not dressed, so we're not gonna record. That's basically it.
What are you working on?
Oh no, I'm not doing the camera right now, bro. Then I gotta come in here and just record you. You walk in the room and it's a fitting room, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about changing hats, but let's imagine.
No,
changing
I'm with
clothes.
you because that actually relates to me. I think I have to wear many hats for my family.
Right.
You know, my
course.
wife, the kids. You know, I've had adversity this year. It's only January, but I feel like I've been
Don't be surprised.
every single day. I wake up, ding, 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 boom, boom, motherfucker.
Surprise,
You're gonna,
Rocky.
you're gonna get fucking hit. You're gonna swing back, and you know, I've been trying to swing back. You know, there's been a lot of adversity. I still try to come in here, and I tell people this all the time. This is the most feedback I'd ever have to give, or I've ever given as a sales coach, consultant, or a leader. I've given this feedback so many times that if you allow the bullshit inside of your life to come into the doors with you at work, that bullshit only continues to grow. However, if you stack that bullshit outside of the door, you do good at your business, at your passion, at whatever brings you revenue. Money doesn't solve problems, but more problems lessens the bullshit. So I say then the bullshit stack will reduce when you come out, because you could deal with your problems and create more problems by doing shitty at what brings you a living, or you could have problems, do great at what brings you a living, and try to lessen those problems, because ultimately making more money and feeling good in one place will, everything in life connects, will slowly connect to everything else.
It'll show everywhere else.
And I feel like people have that problem where,
My girl.
Oh, for
The bills. Or this.
and then they come in here and it's like,
Ah.
and then they go outside and,
It's ah.
and then they go home and it's,
Ah.
and their whole life becomes,
Ah.
and then, you know, it's a negative domino. And the only way to stop a negative domino is with a positive pattern interrupt. And that positive
Absolutely.
pattern interrupt could be, I come in here,
Here goes a
like
pattern.
shit's up, man. I'm stressed out at home. But you know what? For these 8 hours, let me just pretend it's not, man. I know it's hard. Let me just close my eyes and pretend everything's all right. Things are great. And let me do well here. And maybe things will slowly start. Maybe I'll go home and things will be up again. But let me at least try to do well here, because doing worse here is not going to make anything else better.
Of course. However, I don't think you played video games growing up, but you say running mate. I would say something along the lines of like tag team champions, you know? As a team, you learn strengths and weaknesses. And I know early on when we finally got in the office and we had a couple people here, you said something about like, dude, I was throwing up. This gentleman wanted me to control what my face looked like after I threw up, okay? And he told me that the gentleman in the office, you know, this impacts them, you know, it affects them, whatever, which I respect, I understand, and we are growing accordingly. Which is why he did say I was on fire. Double Dragon is what I think of as a video game, but those guys like were in cool karate outfits on the video game and they were back to back, right?
Yeah.
So as much as he pays attention and active listens, it was funny because I vividly remember in game film this moment, but like even his posture and the way he said something to me is what made me realize that we were having like a candid live conversation before the camera came in. No, what I'm talking about didn't actually even happen. You didn't do this with your posture or whatever I'm thinking about, right? But maybe I'm not full of shit, and maybe I do or say or act a certain way sometimes where you know, like it's not even what I'm saying out of my mouth, but you see me, because I learned this from clients on Zoom. You see me and you know that the wrong Nick got off the treadmill and he's the one you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I understand all the things he expected of me. And like I said, we're growing accordingly. But in that moment, And when you wear so many hats, I know you feel this because he's told me about feeling this, not directly, but inadvertently. But if a list of 10, what emotions attack you? If there's 10 emotions, I don't know. God knows I got a lot. But one of the emotions that attacks you is like, of all the things and all the people, you like want this other person, whoever it is, your wife, your mom, your kid, one of your really good friends, brothers, whatever you want to call this guy. I don't know. We don't qualify for a category, so there's a lot of different connections. But whatever it is, the person on the other side that has drawn these emotions from you, because the emotions came from it here. They didn't come from that person, right? So his ego, he just said, was involved, and he realized that. And whatever emotion it is inside of you, it's not coming from them. But what I'm talking about is like we seek this compassion from the other person. Like, why is this person not considering all these other things I'm doing, right? And what I'm saying is I'm not just defending myself and explaining myself, but I'm giving context, right? In that sense, let's say out of my 37 hats, 11 of them are Alex's. And I'm wearing them for him because you saw that one video where he said he wants to do this. Hey, he thinks there's only one of him. He doesn't know. I don't even know how many of them him there are. I had somebody tell me there was 9 of me, but 37 hats and 9 dudes, do the math. But like, point is like, it's not about who's right, it's about what's right. But
That's good.
the point I'm making is if I could point out one fault in myself in that game film, the first thing, like he said to me in that game film, why'd you say this? And I said, I did, and he played the recording. The first thing I could point out myself is, why am I, first of all, shutting off all my other sensors? That if I was in the pilot's cockpit, that plane would nosedive right there, right? But why am I shutting off all my sensors? Because I'm dropping everything and distracted by this one thing that I want, that I don't need, compassion, right? Because when we face a challenge, whether we know it or not, we are presented with that challenge so that we can take the next step up. So I knew it wasn't going to be easy saying yes to Alex and all the adaptations that we had to make last minute, because literally the day before he called me to tell me this was happening, I got offered a job by another mortgage lender. And I haven't made it easy for him either, because on paper, I'm a scary guy.
You just took me on a roller coaster.
Good.
What were we trying to get again?
And last week, Thursday, he came to work and he told me he had what did you call it, a realization, or what did you say that it was?
Realization.
Yes. And he talked about taking, I'm not even going to put nobody on blast. He can talk about whatever he wants. But he talked about taking advice from somebody particularly who he had not taken advice very well from before. And because he opened to receive it, what did he do? In the game film, he saw the gems. And if you get good at it, they could talk shit while you're seeing the gems and you can still grab them. And oh, I know, I was such a dumbass at that time, wasn't I? Thank you. I'm going to use this shit. Everybody's getting up once I get this fixed.
Yeah.
And I saw him go through that in his head. And I was like, man, people think I just talk to myself in a corner when I say game film to myself. Like, I don't know about you, but you know what a tennis ball looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, now can you close your eyes?
Mhm.
Can you see the little hairs on the tennis ball that make that yellowish, greenish color?
What?
With what eye? Zach
Third
Lee. Zach Lee. So that's how I game film. And you'd be fascinated if you try to do that with your dreams or with your day-to-day life. You'll see and hear things that you did not originally. Do that with a movie, it'll f you up. Devil's Advocate is the first one.
Yeah, but where the were we trying to get here?
He was trying to get an answer. You see, exactly. And now, right there, in that moment, like, what was I just talking about? What was I just thinking about? If I have this in my hand and I'm talking to anybody and I have that moment in front of them, you know where their eyes go? Right here. It's not this that made me do it. It's because you don't like what I'm talking about. Or
No, it's because you give very long
Not
fucking
you.
answers.
not you. Yeah. No, because you didn't accept the first answer, so I gave a lot
You
of
didn't
answers.
give me the answer. What was the question, motherfucker?
And then while he's wondering what the question is, somebody's going to walk in the door and ask him to do something and ask him why he's not doing it with a camera behind him and wanting to record. And I did everything to the T. On my way out, being a diva, I said to the camera, you're not going to come in here and record me whenever the you want. And I actually zoomed in so that it looked good on camera because, like, you know, we did a couple music videos. We ought to do that shit. And I told him, play that. Can I say what I said to you?
Yeah.
Because he got mad at me for this. And that's when he went off again on me in text because he's like, if you thought of it that way, then he said something else. If you thought of it that way, then fill in the blank. Laundry list of reasons. Anybody you're arguing with is going to do that, right? But if you're thinking about it that way, then again, my opinion, judgment, whatever. But I was thinking about going viral. What I told him was take the clip of me walking out and being an asshole.
You working on?
Oh, no, I'm not doing the camera right now, bro. You're not going to come in here and just record you once again. And then go in the room, pick up the phone, like people do when they're scared, pretend like you're talking to somebody, and say whatever you genuinely want to say to me. Maybe if you say it and you don't like it, cut it out because you don't want to hurt my feelings. But then put that on. It goes viral. When it goes viral, think of a creative way to bring me back. Because on the call, I was telling him to fire me. And if he did fire me, bro, let me tell you something. these lights would turn on. But then I like to be a fly on the wall. He would do it. He did more than this without me. But to scale and to let him go outside without a hat, I don't know how quick you could replace it.
I don't want to replace you.
I know,
Mikey,
I know.
But there's a
That's the other reason why we're talking like we're talking.
Yeah,
now
no, for sure.
After that,
For sure. And so you said a lot of good things, but like you said too much. Like you just info dumped on me.
did I? But
now
it's recorded, so we can.
I know, but there's like so much things to grab. Like I don't know. I lost many of them.
Think of the first one because that's what I get the answer. Go.
Okay, so the first one was you said, that the way I felt, I was telling you my feelings, you were telling me your feelings. We both have our perspective. We're looking for compassion from the other person. If I did this, you did this.
Yeah.
That's one part of it. There's ego there, like, oh,
For sure. I had
this
ego
guy's
too.
not grateful. I did this. Like, forget about that. I didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
What I do want to talk about is I think.
Why doesn't he want to talk about it? We can talk about it in another episode.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it.
We should.
I'd rather talk about, because I think this is more effective to talk about, for me at least, when you're talking about inner circle, like, all right, think about like, the older brothers of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you got younger brothers, younger sisters, nieces, nephews, whatever. Something bad happens in the family. The older brothers are supposed to hold it down for the youngins.
Right. Like when my dad passed, I was strong in front of my kids.
Correct.
100%.
Yeah. So if the oldest brother is coming in folding and crying in a corner and, oh my God, what should I do? And the kids are looking up at the oldest brother.
And
it's
he's
like,
and he's acting like the youngest sister.
correct.
I got you. I understand.
So what I'm saying is, when I say inner circle, like that comes with standards, right? That comes with all of us calling each other out on the bullshit. Like, hey, I know you're going through some shit. Suck that shit the up. You're in the office now. There's people. We could talk to each other like that because this is an inner circle.
We can.
And I think that comes with leadership. So when you
we both did that day.
We did, yeah.
We did.
Yeah, so my thing is, when you walk in here, you're on stage, you're representing, and there has to be a certain level where you say nothing else gets in between that, right? And you walk. So I'm gonna expect that the same way I expect it for myself. And
I can say one thing as a funny excuse.
If you come into me and say, Ace, you're acting like a bitch right now. I know you got shit going on. People see you look like an asshole. Would I ever get mad at you for telling me that? Honestly,
I don't know, but ever since that day that you told me that my face after I threw up, I've never felt like that way about you. But if there's anything that I have wanted to say, I haven't said it because I don't, whether I know you're going to receive it, whether you get it now or later, but anybody else hears it because you said that, like I'm throwing up and my face, oh shit. So like, I'm not going to,
you throw up frequently.
I do.
It's not like you threw up one time and I said, motherfucker, suck that shit up. Like
I do. It's not that's not why I stay skinny, but there's many challenges internally and externally. Right.
Yeah.
But like, there's been many times where it's like, I don't know, maybe it's the choice of the lender or, if my face makes that difference, then maybe I'm not going to come out and ask a question out loud or say that I don't know how to do something yet because we're maybe 30 lenders into 170 as far as for everything goes. So if my face has thrown up makes that much difference, then me saying I don't know anything is going to discourage somebody who feels that they don't know something already. So like, that's how you said deep, that's deep, but it's deep, not necessarily, well, you could say to me, like my dad used to say, but I didn't tell you to go there. Well, I know you didn't tell me to go there, but guess what? If you ever need me to go there, I was already there. How you doing? If that makes sense. But my excuse is, as far as for like acting and keeping my face, because Francina has challenged me, that's my wife's name. She challenged me on many a time because I've said, if you call me to it, and I'm up for the challenge. So I do have to be up for the challenge, but if you call me to it, I win an Oscar. And I haven't won an Oscar in a long time. And it's been a long time since I wanted to win an Oscar. But now I will challenge anybody for the Oscar. However, when I'm showing face and showing emotion and not fulfilling the duties of the oldest brother, they're in my bedroom sometimes. And they're gonna see me change, But like as the company grows and the office grows, the inner circle is going to grow, and those guys that saw me changing and saw that wild shit, actually it's going to make their position in the inner circle maybe a little stronger because they saw some weird shit and they're still nice to the guy. And then this office will end up being the inner circle. That's how big it'll be. And then everybody in the other offices, they won't see me unless I am on stage and aware I'm on stage. But I'll do better at it not to.
So do you agree with the thought process of the inner circle should block emotions out at certain times for the people?
Yes, but at that moment that I expressed those emotions that offended you, it was the inner circle. I left the office. Nobody outside the inner circle knew until someone else mentioned it. And not even the whole inner
You
circle
may
knew.
think you either walk in straight head down to your office, which means you're in the don't f around mode.
Everybody's gotten high since
Or
that day.
you walk in and you're shaking hands and you're smiling, and that's the man you need to be. You got to be a man of the people.
So I'm going to tell you
When I
something.
walk in, do I ever go straight to my office, or do I salute every single person first and shake hands? I usually go shake hands, do my round, and then I go into the office,
Because it's rude if you don't.
whether I want to or
And
not.
that was a taker thing. And I was on so many teams after that that didn't do that. And then I
Okay,
saw people
so
from
you-
everywhere come and say hi to certain people. And like, if I know you, I walk by you, I might not dap you up, but I'm going to say what's up. Unless you're on a call. I'm going to try to say what's up. And if you ignore me because you're on a call, I'm still going to give you shit.
So you have to do the same exact thing.
So what I've learned, and what many people try to tell me when they're judging me, is liquor of any sort, any intoxicant is going to help you go deeper. However, it is going to impact your ability to control. So we talk about controlling the controllables. Now, what if we got 10 controllables and we drink liquor and now we can only actually control 7 of them? I'm fine with that. I love going swimming, not knowing how deep the water is. That's fine. And you know all those hats? When I go swimming, this is another example. I thought of this earlier and I forgot some shit too. But imagine having everybody that you're thinking about when you're wearing them hats, right? All those people that got a nice long bungee cord, right? They're holding the bungee handle and they got that hook to your belt, right? And you jump and your whole task for the day is to touch the bottom of 8 feet. If there's a lot of hats, a lot of bungee cords, you ain't touching the bottom of that bitch. And then they around and they need you at that moment. They pull that too, right? Excuse my language. I use bad words, but they never mean what you think they mean. Because I've never once referred to a female dog.
Yeah. I'm not getting
30
the
minutes.
answers, man. We're going deep.
Okay,
but
so
we're not
the
getting-
answer to his
So
question.
I ask you a question, and then you start hitting me with story, and then here, and then there. Then you take me all around, and you bring me back, and we haven't gotten one answer yet.
Okay.
That's the up part.
So the context
And
has
that's
purpose.
you overthinking about everything. You have so many thoughts that every single question I ask you turns into a movie.
Because the question behind the question that you're asking ends up not actually being your question, but you may or may not
The
know
question
what I
was
do.
that do you agree that at a certain level, the inner circle should be on stage when they walk in, and you have to accept that. We shouldn't have that issue no more where you come in and you're not shaking hands or you're not being there for the people, because you have to be there for the people.
Yeah.
This is the life you chose.
Yeah, and you can run the film back and charge me. You can come up with a funny number and say, okay, for every day since that event that he did not come in cheerfully and shake hands, he's getting hit for this, whatever. That's fine. But what I'm saying is at that moment, that was the inner circle. And because whether somebody else is outside paying attention or not, I'm struggling to get the people in front of me to pay attention. So if they're paying attention, God bless them. Come here, let me know what you heard. Maybe I missed something.
Okay.
But the answer to the first question was, my speed has to do with me being in control. Because with someone that thinks like I do, because he said I overthink, but maybe I think you underthink, and I'm just with you. But I think that about a lot of people.
Mhm.
But my speed,
I choose to underthink.
my speed. If I'm talking about
I
cars,
choose when to overthink, and I choose when to underthink. That's the difference.
I do too. But sometimes other people think that was a good or a bad time to underthink.
Yeah.
Now that's an outside thing, right?
Yeah.
So now maybe those people should maybe run a game film and wonder why they think it's so important to influence others' activities because they're gifted to do so for certain purposes. So it's fine.
The real thing is you had personal shit going on, and that's what was on your mind. Because when I went in there,
But I wasn't blaming that. I wasn't blaming that. I was just saying there's a lot of hats.
But that was the root. The root was
It doesn't
there,
matter,
There was
'cause
another hat.
He said not to go too deep, so he don't really want the roots, baby.
I don't want the roots. But you took off the hat. You put on another hat because you went into your phone and you started dealing with another hat, which maybe it needed to be dealt with. I'm not saying it didn't have to be dealt with. Maybe it did. And because that other hat came on, it took you out of this hat, and then it's hard to transform through characters that quick.
Okay, so we'll go
So,
one layer there.
a
because
lot
he
of
said
time-
maybe it needed to get handled, maybe it didn't.
So
It
for
did,
example-
it did, but it wasn't handled with these. It needed a part of me, but it wasn't handled with these literally. So I didn't need to be there at that moment right then. Which also same thing, like there at that moment right then. Are we time traveling? What's the difference if there's a knock? What's the difference if there was a Teams message or a Teams call or a text? Or what's the difference if that's a hot seat conversation every morning? Hey, look, I'm coming in the office 10 times today with the camera. I don't give a what you're doing. Act normal when you see the camera. Like,
I didn't say ignore.
no. I'm saying like he could have done. I'm saying he could have done that, right? But when I start talking like that, people say I lily pad and they don't know where I'm going with that. But back to answer his first question. When I mean my speed, my speed is under the ball of my foot. So sometimes if you're texting and driving or you're talking to somebody, you didn't realize you're slowed down until the person is creeping on your rearview mirror. I know people that drive that with me like, who gives a fuck about the rearview mirror unless he hits you? Why are you worried about the rearview mirror? Well, again, everything in life connects. If I got mirrors showing me different angles, I'm going to take advantage, right? So my speed has to do with me controlling, or for those who live their life being manipulated as zombies, me believing I'm in control. So if you're trying to manipulate me out there, then if you can make me believe I'm in control, you'd be amazed what I can do, because as I say in a rap song, armies wish they could recreate what's beaten inside my chest. But to answer the question, my speed has different pieces like those cockpit switches, just my control. So if you tell me to get something done and I know I'm capable of it, I'm confident in it, I'm going to complete it quicker and more efficiently, but I'm not going to ask you questions. That's why I'm going to do it more efficiently. But at the same time, if I'm not confident, I may not, because I'm trying to be on stage, I may not want to show the lack of confidence. So therefore, I may seek the answer on my own with making the least noise possible, which probably going to take me some time.
No, you could be on stage and you could be a leader and you could still ask a question. You could still do it with confidence.
I know. But Joe Hervey used to walk by my desk at Rocket. Two people, Nick Cunningham and Joe Hervey, their personality shows in one action alone. Joe Hervey would walk by, and based on what I was doing, he could tell by the look on my face whether I was working on something serious. It didn't have to be work, but I was into whatever I was doing. And he'd be like, Nick, is it a loan or something else? Because you're in there. And Nick Cunningham, I don't know why, but when I get cold, this happens. Or I guess the desk was high. But he would walk by me. Every time he would walk by me for anything, bathroom, coffee, water, he'd be like, put your shoulders down, man.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that he saw that, number one. Number two, felt comfortable to interact. Gave a that says a lot about people.
Yeah.
But if you don't think through the lens of FOE, you miss it.
What does that mean?
Family over everything.
Yeah, I know that.
So when the bond, I'm saying when the bond is there and it shows like that, right? If I wasn't an FOE type, then I'd be like, hey, man, why you touching my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, Joe, if you don't make me feel stupid about how I look so serious at the computer, or my eyebrows raised. For those people who want Botox, look, I've needed Botox since I was like 15, bro. Albanians do crazy shit. When you're little, you do this, look a lot. What the So my speed means let me be in control. Giving me a list. I told him this the other day last week. When I told him, he immediately felt bad for it and said, all right, so I won't ask you if you're keeping up often. And I love him. I let it slide because that's not why I said it. But at that moment, when I said it to him, whether he felt I needed it or it made him feel bad, he said, all right, I won't ask you for keeping up. But today, a gentleman's name, I'm not going to mention because we're recording, but he asked me 7 times if I got it done yet. I have not gotten, I know that his folder has the documents. I know that he sent them, but there has been so many things that have needed my attention in between. I haven't done anything that, like, yeah, you're around all day. I haven't done anything like that. Not even a little bit. Maybe a couple conversations here and there, but they all had purpose. And speaking of purpose conversations, I wanted to say something else earlier because I love how he checks in where he's not telling me stop talking to somebody and go work, but he's like, just, making sure, you sleeping, Nick? Are you awake? Okay, all right, it's fine. Let's finish what you were saying. But I just did to myself what I did to him a second ago, and I may have lost my train of thought. It's because of the conversation that I had with Ali. I learned this at Rocket, but I learned this on his team. The seatbelt beep thing. He always tells the story, so I get to tell it one time I'm recording. And this is the first time, like, he probably gave me one of those faces, right? I said, Alex, I figured out something. He said, what? I said, you're like the seatbelt beep in my car. Now, when I say good health, I mean like end of the month commission checks, right? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, because you can be f***ing annoying, but you're so good for my health. So, but when I'm having a funk day, right? Somebody comes to me, they need my help. Me helping them, when they walk away, I face this challenge of, I can't get on a phone with a client and they say some dumb shit to me that I would cop out for and then not give them the response I just told Ali to go give them, because I'm a punk if I do that. I didn't realize I was game filming myself. Why? Just because I wanted to be held accountable and credibility. Grand Nemic, shout out to Grand Nemic, Damian Marcus. But he said some shit which I never thought he thought about it that seriously. And if he was bullshitting, shout out to him for being a great salesman. But he said he knows that the file shows his name next to it, that anybody could click on the recording and watch. So as long as his name is attached to it, he wanted to make sure that he was delivering the job in that
on
way.
stage.
Yeah, there you go, on stage. And I won Oscars before I came here, but I never thought about it that way.
Now, you have to understand, too, that things would be different if we were at a place where it was 5 years down the road.
It's my job to get us there in less time.
Yeah, we had people that wore all these hats that we're wearing right now.
That's
Then
also a difference in the last 15
Then
years.
I would have the time. It could be like, yo, what's going on? We could talk like this every single day because we have that time and that leisure. And that would most likely be our full-time job, is just keeping people in the right headspace. But because we're not there, and because sometimes I have to sacrifice my personal life and things going on, and I have to shut that out, then sometimes I feel like Nick should do the same exact thing because he's in the inner circle too. I don't want to worry about Nick. I want to worry about everybody else. But if I have to worry about Nick and this is my main guy, should he be my main guy? And that's where my head goes sometimes. So that's why I hold you to a high standard, because I want to know Nick is my main guy. He does hold all the characteristics of a main guy. He is a running mate, and a running mate is somebody that replaces you when you're not there.
Tag team champions of the world.
Correct. So that's why I go hard on you, because I can't be your therapist sometimes, and I can't have those talks because I'm not having those talks for myself.
I get it.
And we got to sacrifice that for some time.
So that running mate thing is what I was trying to do, the double dragon thing. So same thing.
Yeah.
But I joke about running for president, so I try not to say that stuff because I'm going to need a running mate. And I'm quite the running mate. But those moments where we know, because there were a couple events that occurred the week before that you went through, that I watched you go through, that I've gone through, and they weren't, I wouldn't say like there's any negative connotation. I just watched you go through a struggle or a difficulty, and I had gone through that same struggle and difficulty before. And maybe that day that had me in a mood after so many days on Monday, to where I felt like I was one of you that wasn't letting you down, right? And maybe in that moment, we could come up, weird people come up with safe.
Well, that's why I
safe
feel like
words.
you've been on fire. It's because I was in the hospital.
And they had to do it. So it happened at
I
the
had a
perfect time.
surgery, so you're like,
It happened at the perfect time.
And let me be there for him. That's what I think happened.
Okay, so you saw it Tuesday. The loan was put in the process well before Tuesday. It started, that day when you texted me back, it started within me, right? Because I responded one way, I could have responded 37 different ways, right?
Yeah.
But that journey, as we're making it from the day after that to today, that's over 20 days. That journey, if I'm fighting for it, I'm climbing up that motherfucker. And you don't even gotta me hard. You just gotta kick that foot out. And I might tumble the rest of the way down if I'm heavy, right? If I'm heavy headed. So like, there's got not a safe word, but that's just a dumb joke I was gonna make. But like, I feel like there's gotta be something that we cook up, just like these templates that we're like, I think I told you this one time, and you definitely did not use it properly. You executed on this strategy the day after, but did not execute properly. I was not told that we were running that play, but we just ran it. And I eventually figured it out because you were, you see, I go too deep. Let me answer that question. We can come back to the play I was talking about. We could come up with something where it's like, you said you got a lot of shit going on and I got a lot of shit going on, but there's something specifically that involves both of us that you need me on. So we need to ignore that shit for a minute, no matter what it is. There's a way to walk into a conversation like that, but I don't know what it is, and we can figure it out. Maybe it's a template and you walk in the room holding that bitch, and I could do the same thing. Like, you're on the call. Sometimes I walk by his office and I'll just be walking by. He'll think I want something, and I'll look through the window and he'll go like this. And sometimes he'll be on the call and I'll walk up to the window and I want something and he'll be like, but then eventually, usually he'll wave me in, but still, like, there's times where touch and go, right? So like, that type of touch and go communication, especially because we're on stage, and maybe like the baseball things, right? Like, nobody else needs to know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, I tell my kids all the time, if you learn Albanian, you can speak it in front of people and they don't know what the fuck you're saying. 2 Albanians on a basketball team can be dangerous. Yeah. Throw the ball means something different in different language. Yeah. I am him, whoever you're looking for.
So how do we stay him? Because you're him right now. Could we stay him? Is there anything that you want to get out that's stopping you from being him? And I can give you my thought process on it, or try to help you yourself from those times where we let that soft side take over. Like yesterday, my son was yelling, and he can't yell as much as he used to yell
because it's straining. Yeah.
Because it's straining, and I almost broke down in tears, bro. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
The fact that he had to go through the surgery and shit just got to me.
Yeah.
And then I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and I said, suck it the up, bro, before he sees you being soft and he starts overthinking it too. Yeah. And I sucked it up. But I'm like, that really got me. And then I had to get back into character. And it's hard because if you spend your whole life in character, it's hard to get back into their particular character.
What
Which is
hat is
tough.
on? Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest thing right now is I've blocked out so much shit in my life where now it's like, how do I get back to the character I need to be for the family, the character I need to be for you, the character I need to be for me, and just stop the machine mode. And it's hard.
Why does he want to stop machine mode?
I don't want to stop machine mode, but people are telling me I need to stop machine mode.
Well, maybe you just need to get more switches on machine mode and like, you know, factors. Well, what? Because I like, you know, people say I talk too much. I'm like, well, listen, like I said, the $5 bet earlier, if I didn't tell you all the shit that I talk too much and I just asked you a dumbass question, like, what does Damian Marcus mean? You have no clue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I give you the context and I talk too much. My dad would joke like, "Tá stressado folha smura verjão." Means you've been talking for 3 hours. I ain't understood a thing you said.
Yeah.
But like, when I talk about top speed, like my speed means I'm in control. So if you want, my dad used to say, Nick, make yourself happy. If you're not happy, everybody else is in big trouble. So if I want myself happy, then I have to be controlling the controllables or holding the steering wheel or whatever. And then if I want myself to be really happy because I have the time to think about, all right, what kind of happy I want to be, not just happy so that I look happy, but happy, like for real happy, then I'm driving it to all the other factors. But at the end of the day, when I'm at top speed and how many obstacles I'm facing, as long as I'm hurdling those obstacles, I like that version of me too. So if I'm being honest and we can take a version of Nick and call him machine mode, if anybody tried to get rid of him, I'll be like, well, okay, I swear I can get him in better shape. What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that maybe you don't know that was him doing it, but you might ask me to do it again, and I fucking need him to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me, if you say, remember back in the day where you could do all these 10 things at the same time, I'm like, motherfucker, I ain't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
And I actually hid that version of me away on purpose from everybody that I loved because they were confused as to who was who. My first rap album was called Who Am I? If you say I'm being an asshole, but all this other shit that I get done for you is actually the asshole me that gets it done, because how else would I get it done? But you don't like the asshole. Let me get rid of the asshole. You're going to be f***ed up because all this shit's not going to be done.
Exactly.
That's f***ed up.
That's facts.
That's f***ed up because then the people that want me to say yes or no, like my wife most of the time, I got to bet. Don't ask me the fucking question. That's not a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
That's why I was curious what Alex was going to ask me. This is good. We can talk about anything. I kind of want to write. I asked him this last night because I was thinking about it hard because we've been talking about this for days. And today when I asked him at like 2:00, Alex, what are you doing tomorrow? He looked at me. You know what I was talking about? Not doing this today. And he said, and walked away. But yesterday driving home, I think I was open to it. And being open was what I was going to say about your machine mode, because you don't got to get rid of machine mode. You just got to refine your process of compartmentalizing. Like, this guy's on this treadmill, you know which treadmill he's on, and if he's on another treadmill, we have a problem and he better get on the right one. Like, I know this is off the wall and like people blame it on
No, I mean, I think it's my biggest strength, honestly. My biggest strength has been the machine.
So why would you
mode.
ever get rid of it?
I wouldn't get rid of it. It's just that it's hard to get out of it. It's like, you know, when Heath Ledger committed suicide, if he did commit suicide, he got too deep into the act, you know. He lost himself in the Joker.
Next episode, if he did commit suicide.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But he got lost in the Joker, and a lot of times people do get lost in the act. And if the act is a successful act, you know, because I am successful and I know to be successful, you got to block out the bullshit. You got to go through the hurdles. You got to put your emotions aside and focus on the emotions that it takes to win. That's all that's on my mind. So a lot of times me being there for myself or for you or for anybody else, that stops the machine from operating. So
Takes you away from
machine
something
needs
else.
to keep going. Nick, I need you to be a machine with me right now. When sometimes maybe you don't need that. Maybe I do need to have a one-on-one with you. Maybe I do need to slow down and talk to you. And maybe the machinery could stop for 15 minutes and I could continue going.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't do that for you. And I'll acknowledge that. I don't do that for you because I'm like, you're in the inner circle, suck it the up.
I think I've gotten better at that.
Yeah, I need you to be on your feet. And I tell you all the time, if you want to have a one-on-one, you want to talk, let's talk on Saturday when the office is closed and we're both at
That's
home.
funny because tomorrow is Saturday, and I asked him what he's doing tomorrow. And I said no today.
Yeah. So So that's that, man. I need you to be on your shit because you're a leader here and you're an inner circle member and people are watching you. And I need you when you walk in to say I'm on stage. And if you understand that you're on stage, then everything else stops when you walk in here. And sometimes there's a lot of shit going on outside where I get it's hard. So that's what I was kind of trying to uncover. How do we stop that shit from affecting you? How do we stop looking at the phone? How do we stop focusing on the other shit while you're inside the office? You've been doing great at it these last couple of days. Could that keep going? Will there still be days where the old Nick comes back out? Or do you think we're at a good place?
One thing specifically, I don't know why I feel the need to share it, but like one thing specifically, because he says a lot of things going on, and everybody will give you a laundry list of what's going on in their life.
I think everybody has a lot of shit going on.
Laundry list. Like when you tell me why you did something and I didn't want you to do it, I promise you, God bless the people in my life that I say this to, and I'm sorry, I'm just being funny, but you got a laundry list. No matter what it is, you're gonna start selling me just like the cop that pulled you over for literally he recorded your speed, but you're gonna try to sell him to not get a ticket. Yeah. The last time I got pulled over in December, I think the cop was fascinated because I ain't say shit. I just sat there. He didn't even ask for proof of insurance. He don't give a f if I got insurance, whatever. He asked for my shit. I gave it to him. He came back, took it. I ain't say nothing to him, and he was floored by it. Maybe because I talk a lot, but that time specifically. Too many details not necessary, but essentially my mother needed me to carry her to the bathroom and back to bed. And when I did, it hurt her. So I wanted to help, but I couldn't. And then so I had to motivate like a small child, the mother who spent time motivating me out of the darkness. And so like, not only is it somebody that I love that needs my help, so I kind of need to be right here, not anywhere else, but also no matter where you are, it'll put you different places here because I'm literally hitting you. Gem of advice. You gave it to me when I was a kid, and I'm hitting you with it, and you're not accepting it because of your age. But no matter what excuse I gave you at my age, you told me that was the advice and that was the way I had to push through it and da-da-da, but you're not taking that same advice. And me and him have had this conversation.
Well, that's why they say that
he's gotten better. He's gotten better at taking his own medicine. And my mom says, I think what he's about to say, and just in case I'm right, I'll say that when people become elder, they return to the mind state of a child.
Yes, did you tell me that?
I don't know, but all the old people say that. So I'm sure their old people say that too.
They do because they need to be cared for and they stop listening. And
they don't. This world makes us believe that. That's the same reason we age. Don't play with me. Stop throwing me a birthday party. I don't give a f.
Well, that's true because there are some people that are elder that do still stay in their zone. You search. Example, Tony Robbins is like 65 years old and still running seminars.
You know when I learned this? When my mom was 45, 5 years in a row because our birthdays are close. And I was like, yeah, wait a minute, girl. It's been 5 years. I know my numbers changed. I feel like yours stayed the same. Then I figured out she was 50. Mm-hmm. So think about that. If my mom's going to lie to me, who else is going to lie to you?
But that's tough, man. I mean, that's the same thing I was explaining about Eli screaming.
Yeah, right? But
that's some emotions that you really can't block out. But you got to go on the sink in the mirror and say, what do I need to be right now?
So sink in the mirror, we got to find maybe a safe word or an action item that we become the face in the mirror for each other. Because if you do need me right now, and say for the example, the level of urgency with what you have versus what I'm worrying about, the number, let's just say it's higher on the level of urgency scale. How can you call me to attention there at that moment? Because regardless of what emotions I'm feeling or what emotions you draw out of me, those are my emotions. They have nothing to do with you. They're not your fault. Mm-hmm. Because like you're saying, you don't know what's going on. There's so many layers maybe going on, or maybe there's nothing. Like here, maybe there's no brains, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there might be, but you need me for something. And whether you might not know it, maybe what I'm stressing about has to do with you, but still you need me for something else. Should I cook you at that moment because this shit's going wrong and it has to do with you and your shit too? Or should I find a way to wake up and actually address that thing that you need that has nothing to do with this so we can knock that out and talk about this other shit later, right?
Yeah.
It's better that way.
Yeah.
But where did I learn that from? When I faced many times people who were not willing to do that with me, and I at least left that game film and said, all right, I'm not going to make nobody feel that way. And if I'm aware of that, we can talk through it. I told my father, if you can't grab me by my collar and throw me up against the wall and tell me how you feel, and we walk away from that and still love each other, then we never really love each other.
That's strong.
Because like, I don't remember too much besides specifics, small pieces of what I said that day. And I don't know how much you remember, but I said it out loud and he said it in text. So one of us has a game film if we want. But the point is, like, when I say I remember everything, that stuff is not relevant unless it's relevant because negative shit is not good to remember if you can't handle it, if somebody's driven by emotions. Because when I say my speed in control, without anybody else knowing or having any cause of it, there are many, many days in the last 3 years that I've blown because my emotions tied my hands behind my back and held that steering wheel. And if I said turn right, they turned left. We got a lot of small brains within us. And if we don't watch out and we're compartmentalizing, the wrong hat could get put on and that bitch sinks into the operating system and we never get another hat.
Excuse us.
Because when I went back into the automotive world after taking a break, I was there 4 years total. I had gone there, I had a degree, so they made me a supervisor. And then I was basically supervising 100 people that I had just gone through orientation with 6 months earlier. And I was their boss and younger than most of them. Seeing that, going back into that, I don't know, I felt like I was knowingly walking into, and it wasn't even a fun game. It wasn't a game that I would buy at the store to play on my video game system, but I was willingly walking into a game of characters that I would never hang out with in real life. I would never want anything to do with. And the only thing that was good about it is it felt like a scientific lab. I went back on the line and I read a Steve Jobs. I was putting cars together, 500 cars a day, and I read a Steve Jobs biography, hard copy, flipping through the pages on the line. And what did I find there? Same thing we're finding here in our process. You find something broke and you ask a question as to why it's broken, and you find out that you're the first person to ask the question. The f***? I just got here. You guys been here how long? Nobody asked this question yet? And 2 guys do the job. They only ask this guy because he's there while they're there, and this guy's not there. This guy literally on paper produces more units and doesn't stop the line as much, but never asked him shit because he's on second shift. He doesn't matter. What do you mean? What shift of life are you on? And why do you not matter? Everything matters. The more and more you realize that and apply that and adapt that, you'll realize there's answers to the questions that you've asked right in front of you and you haven't, and you still are mad because you haven't got the answer to your question. And it's funny because I'm not saying that about you, but that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but you know
literally the answer to your question is in front of you, but you didn't. Earlier you said I never answered your question.
What?
He doesn't analyze enough. He should know where the buttons are, most of them. Attention, he's learning about one of the switches right now.
Well, to get back to the beginning of this, I still don't really understand the answer. You've been on your shit today and yesterday, and you still have shit going on, I'm sure, outside of these walls. What's helping you stop this shit from going on outside of these walls now that wasn't helping you stop the shit going on outside these walls last week?
I don't know if he's looking for credit or he was discounting this fact because it's part of the answer, but he's changed.
From last week to this week?
And from the week before to last week. Since that day, communication is different every single day. Always changes. After the realization that he had last week, he was more receptive to different things.
So you're saying because of my behavior and the way I treated you that you were able to block out your bullshit and perform?
Because whether you recognize it or not, if we looked at percentages like talk time, with both my effort and your effort, my ability to stay in control of my speed is higher. If you're talking 3 weeks ago, we're talking at least 20, 30% higher. And now what's true with belief? As long as I believe
I don't know what I did to help.
What are you talking about?
I'm not like cognitive of what I did to help that. Like,
You know,
I don't remember specifically talking.
You said sometimes my face, right, gives away. I got to watch that stage, right? Well, sometimes like when I say certain things to him, whether I'm being just transparent, whether I'm being genuine, whether I'm overthinking out loud, whether I'm being aggressive, whatever it is, you have tells in your face too. And my favorite one, it's not always from the same type of statement, but it's the moment he looks the most like Eli. What can I say to Eli? What will come out of Eli's mouth that whatever emotion I was feeling, God bless him, he's a gorgeous kid. We got to say mashallah. Like if Eli's looking up at me and shit's going on, if he wanted to cheat, he could bring Eli in the room first. And then whatever the fuck happens next is whatever Eli wants, basically.
Yeah.
So like there's a tell that you have where like that's one that maybe you don't know, but maybe I'm telling you and now you're going to go study in the mirror and make people act, make you feel certain ways and then look and see what happens. But like, I don't know. One time it was, I was that day that I was serious and I saw that face. And then like, I don't know if maybe the few days in a row where he gave me a list and it was done and he didn't ask me if I was keeping up. Or there was also a time where maybe I've shared my frustration about, maybe I've spent 5 minutes telling you because of the way you're doing it, it's slowing me down. That's 5 minutes I could have saved. Yeah. And not every little one of those things I'm picking up. Now, if there's too many distractions, I could definitely miss something valuable to pick up and I could drop shit. I am still human. I'm working on not being, but there's always a way to wake me up. And sometimes like if there's a lot of shit to do, sometimes getting out of the building. Fliss told me this on during COVID when we were all home, and I was like, he's just feeding me bullshit because he wants me to write loans. But he was talking about leaving the house and going for a run and getting coffee just to keep that routine of leaving the house to go to work. And stupid shit like that is important. If you know that, like, there's a switch in the cockpit that they have to hit no matter where they're flying, right? If you know that and you can find that and you can press that, like if it were Red Bull stopped working first year of college. But how do we impact that?
What is that?
You find a way.
You're saying the look on my face made you...
Oh yeah. Well, maybe you have emotions. You're human too. You know how you're saying I walked to the bathroom, I just threw up. But you were saying that my facial expression gave a message to those around me who saw it, right? We all do that. We don't all know it or think about it. But
You're saying that that's what impacts you to stay on your shit?
It helps. But what I'm saying, you're saying you don't pick up on the things
See
you
a
do.
helpless facial expression from me?
No, not a helpless facial expression. It's the moment that if anybody ever thought you were good looking, that's the best looking you ever looked. And it looks to me just like you lie. But what I'm saying is that's weird, right? How do you quantify that? How do you make that tangible? You don't. But what I'm saying is you answered like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. So I went deeper and I showed you something you couldn't possibly know you were doing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I'm doing things differently, but you're doing things differently. Maybe because I came in the office too many days with my heads down. How many do I got? But maybe because of that, or other people are, I'm not going to say hi to him unless he says hi to me. Maybe that's the case. If I found that out, I'm going to adjust that hard if I'm at the right speed. I'll tell you what you got to do. I found your safe word. But if I'm at top speed, I'm going to adjust hard enough to make them, I'm either going to talk about the moment that they felt that way and make sure that they don't feel that way because that was a one-off and it's not that way. But I'm going to try hard. I'm going to press hard because I love them or they love me or not. Even the people around me being joy-filled increases my joy. If you walk into a room and having people...
that.
Well, he says that. And in those days, I promise you, there's been 2 times since we started this office that he said it to me. And bro, my laundry list in my head went off, right? Maybe it went off about, why don't you tell somebody else because they don't feel that way about me. Maybe it went off about like, well, I don't know, how the fuck you getting that vibe from me because I don't feel that way. Whatever. It was a list. Who gives a fuck? But if everything in life connects, take the word work out because everything is work. And the more God puts me to work, the more I know he loves me. But if we just took life and balanced it, and I'm going to save something else I was going to say, but I'll jump to this. I have a song that is super probably corny, but if I could make it not corny, oh my God, it's a Grammy. But it's called He's Him. And I'm talking in second person about myself. So if you didn't know what else to do, you could put your hand on my shoulder or you could poke the bear. If you think I'm in a wrong zone and you don't want to overreact like that day, he might say, if I poke the bear, he might hit me. Yeah, right. But he might say some stupid shit like that. But anyways, you poke the bear, you put your hand on my shoulder, you wave in front of my face, you do John Cena, can't see me. And then you say, if he's him, I need you to find him. That might mean I go to Taco Bell, McDonald's. That might mean I go outside, do jumping jacks with the smokers. That might mean something.
I might need you to find him.
No. If he's him, I need you to find him. Because if he says, I might need you to find him and I'm pissed, I'm going to be like, well, if you might need it, come back to me when you know if you need it or not. Because I'm busy.
If he's him, find him.
Yeah, basically, I'm referring to myself.
If he's him, find him.
You know how people, you could just say find him. But you know how people say, like, I'm him.
Find him.
I'm him. I'm the man, I'm him, right?
Then find him.
No. You know how people acknowledge what I'm saying, bro. You ever heard somebody say I'm him?
Yeah. Okay.
So the song that I made, I'm claiming that I'm him.
Yeah, I'm saying if you're not acting like him, then I'm gonna say find him.
Nick, can you go find him? And if I'm dumb, this is how you're gonna know I'm not awake, and this is the first reason I'm off. Who, Alex? Because I got 6 loans, I don't even know who they are. What are you talking about? Right?
Find them.
Exactly. But now, if he loves me enough, and depending on who's around and how much he's willing to step down off stage or break down the fourth wall, he's gonna be like, you dumbass, what's wrong? What's going on, Nick? Mm-hmm. You I'm talking about. You're the one who told me to say that. Why did you forget what I'm talking about? I'm not gonna like some of this, but all of it is genuine. Naked truth.
Back to unfuck yourself. What keeps you on your game right now that doesn't keep you on your game last week? Give me one answer, one sentence. Go. I need to walk out of here with an answer.
I'm a gay guy, not a faggot. He started that question with unfuck yourself. I'm a gay guy, not a faggot. Easy answer. It literally answers this question layers deep.
There is no answer, is there?
Because because when I'm myself, whether I'm putting it in my ass or in my ear or in my face, I'm doing it to myself. Okay, so I told my wife today, I said to her, because she said something, she was giving me credit that she deserves credit as well for. And he's not the only person that thinks I'm on fire. I've been on fire the whole time, but I've been trying to do everything at once. But she said, And I told her, because the worst part is when you're looking for that compassion, that support, and you are being weak and you look in every direction, and then you get to that one direction that you know for sure, if everybody else lets you down, that one is going to support you, give you compassion, right? Like he's saying, we got to check each other, inner circle. We got to say, hey, cut that shit out, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes, depending on the person, everybody will say this out of context, but depending on the person, sometimes it doesn't work. And I come from a household where I was raised that it does work. And if you try hard enough, it always works. But if somebody's not willing to listen, then you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So I told her, I said, last week I was in a place that I was in at Rocket many times. And instead of referring to how I felt about it or how she felt about it, I said, like I'm standing outside of myself, watching myself cause the issue, but I'm not snapping out of it. She said, yeah. I said, right now, and I could go through the sequence of events, sweetheart, but I'm gonna save you from it. I could go through the sequence of events, at least the top 7 that I could think of right now, that not all of them did I press the button to make happen either, but they just mysteriously fell in place. I didn't ask you for something, you came and brought it to me. God bless you. I'm Don Corleone, what'd you do? Right. I said, I have never, staying aware the whole time, come back from there to here in such a short amount of time. And she said something about staying here. I said, we are here, we are talking, and we are awake. Don't leave. I'm not going anywhere. Miriam asked me earlier something about 2025. He said, what do you think about 25? I said, it's going great so far for me, but she's hiding somewhere. She said, who's hiding? I said, 25. She don't want it with me. And every day that I don't wake up, and I'm going to tell you this right now, and if I ever step outside, because today when I told her that, I was outside of myself looking like, shut the f*** up. Like, trying to turn myself down a little bit. But if I ever catch myself outside again, maybe I should start telling people, right? But first of all, I have to wake up and feel that way about 2025. And if I wake up one day and somebody tells me I got to be nice and be gentle 2025 because she's pretty, I'm not being not gentle. I have to maintain that focus, right? People make you feel guilty and doubt and fear for all kinds of reasons. I'm gonna sound like a crazy person on this bitch. I love it, but I'm fine with it. It's fine, it's time. But saying that to her today, the song that I wanted to talk about, what is called Unnoticed Colors. And if we ran this back and he paid real attention, because sometimes I say shit and he doesn't always pay attention. But I was gonna say something earlier that I wanted to say because of that, because I'm wondering if he remembers, but I forgot what it was. So that's what I get for saying that. But at the end, it's Unnoticed Colors, and the hook is basically just saying, like, it's what struggle feels like. This ain't the part of my dream that I dreamt about, right? I had this vision, and as long as I hold on to the vision, I got there. But now if we run it back and we say, how do we get there? A lot of shit in there you didn't think about, you didn't want to experience, but because we experienced it, little did we know. We thought, oh man, if we didn't experience that, we would have got here quicker. No, if you didn't experience that, you wouldn't have got there, period.
Exactly.
You know that thing that you needed and you didn't know you had in your pocket? You know where you got it from? That moment you wish you didn't experience. So if there isn't an answer directly to the question, it's because it's in everything we said, but I might have said it too macro.
It's in the process.
Yeah, you got to trust the process. And he made it much easier for me to trust the process because of all the success that I had there. And maybe he held me back. I don't know. All I have is the data that I have. But having anybody else, I mean, from day one on his team, having anybody else as my director, it would have been tough. And there was something you said earlier that sounded like a director, and I was going to address it. And I was going to say, yep, I don't know if I could fit that one in my closet, but you got to give me that one too. Maybe the machine mode part. Maybe if anybody that told you to stop machine mode is somebody that you overpress, maybe you pull back the overpress until somebody is begging for your help. Can I tell you what I wanted to talk to you with Bailey today? That Bailey was reluctant because he was busy and thought he already knew what the outcome was going to be, but I think the outcome hasn't been created yet. And there's many models under ACE's umbrella. This is the entrance. This is how you come in. This is the model you start on. Hey, you can earn that model. There's no amount of time that it takes to earn that next step.
Okay.
All you got to do is earn it. What does it consist of? All the shit that you don't know that you got to be ready for, you should learn that you're ready for that first before you jump into that, because now you're not ready for any of it. You know what I'm saying?
Take or leave.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Because me and New Dev on Ryan Gafka's team before your team made a huge difference too.
Yeah.
Because he thought super nerd. Like we nerd out off stupid shit. Like a loan got suspended. I turn around, think about everybody else on the team because they had no clue what we were talking about. I turned around, I said, should I worry about it or outrun it? He was clickety clacking on his keyboard. Outrun it.
Yeah.
He was excited that I asked a question he could answer that fast.
Yeah.
Everybody else is talking about, what do you mean I lost that $500? No, just make it.
I think that's something that we could talk about deeper, and I think I'd be open to that.
It's better for them too.
Yeah.
Just like everything else, you don't know that it's good for you.
I know.
Be on stage, make yourself happy, Nick.
Yeah.
You're gonna be happy. Everybody else around you is gonna be happy, and then that target's gonna get reached quicker.
Yeah. And make them work for it too.
Yeah.
And make them.
And you're gonna be in a better position when you get there.
Yeah.
You're gonna be gunslinging.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Clint Eastwood. You're not gonna be like, oh, I gotta save my bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Clint Eastwood. That's how I got here.
The system is made well. We got to follow the system. I think we went over a lot of great things in this one-on-one.
Poor editor.
I think one of the most important things that I'm taking from this is it doesn't matter what you do in your life, whether you're in sales, leadership, or whatever it is you do, the number one obstacle and the number one lock that you have to uncover with the key is mastering your own mind before you could master anything else.
That compartmentalizing thing you said earlier.
Yeah.
Once you do that, is be careful who you give the key to.
Yeah. I think you need to hold the key sacred, and you need to make sure that no matter what it is that you're doing, you can wake up every single day, block everything else out, and fully perform like you're on stage, whether you feel good or not. And I think that's what drives the most successful people to success.
And if you're going to leave town, make sure you leave the keys to somebody who can hold them.
Yeah. Build your inner circle around the people that could hold them.
Yeah.
Which is a chapter I just read 2 days ago, The Law of the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
It was a good chapter. That's how I wanted to do there with the inner circle. I want to talk about this, which is still coming. Any last words for us, Damon?
Damian Marcus, of the many things that it means, if you like to look up names and what they mean, it actually formulates a sentence. That the sentence, it's not a complete sentence. So English teachers, I'm sorry, I slept through that class. It means to tame the god of war.
That's strong.
And the crazy thing is it had more meaning than I knew, even though I walked into it with that intention. And then, like I said, the therapist, right, they put clothes on you. So sometimes you put clothes on yourself, and then you get a choice. You're going to wear those clothes, you're going to change. And I wrote a note over here that says never change. So no matter whose hands I'm shaking, they don't influence me to change. But they're not going to hurt me because they touch me, Howie Mandel. Come on. Gems.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done for us here at
too.
Takers Brokerage, bro. You're a true member of the Inner Circle, VP of Operations here. And I'm very excited for the future with you, man. And honestly, it wouldn't be the same ride without you. I think you bring a lot of personality to the office. And I think that if you were gone, it would definitely damage our culture because people out here love you. And that's why I'm so hard on you to always be on stage, because you don't know it, but everyone's looking up at you every single day.
It's humbling to think like that too. And I'm grateful for even this too, because like this is going to have residual impacts on our relationship, but it's also going to have residual impacts on like everything from here, like the seatbelt beep thing, right? You don't necessarily need to look cool with your seatbelt on, but it's funny how you get to that destination differently. And like the thing I'm doing, I don't know. I didn't know that it was maybe VP of operations, and maybe I wouldn't have asked for all the hats that come with that. But at least a few of the things that I'm doing in the last few months and I'm enjoying very thoroughly, I was fighting to get the people that needed me desperately to do it for them because they didn't have anybody doing it. But, you know, my opinion didn't have any value yet. So it was weird that, again, like you go through so much struggle and then it's like, I don't know that he necessarily ever thought of me until that moment to fulfill this role. But like, whoa, it's crazy. There's something that you definitely can do and really want to do. And then he kind of needs somebody to do that. And then you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, but you could do this. And actually that timeline is so much better. So I'm very grateful. I don't always show it. We've both given each other reasons to wonder on certain days, but like we've stayed aware, and I feel like we've adapted a lot. I maybe stopped giving advice as to like how many things I could do maybe because I was getting lazy, but there's still more I can do.
Damon Marcus, ladies and gentlemen.